Others exist in a space between this world and the beyond.
Who's there?
I was kind of creeped out a little bit, just wondering if, what was following us. Did it follow us back, or did it stay there?
Ghosts feed off of that fear energy.
He slowly started to grin like the Joker on Batman. I was just kind of shocked about it.
When I saw it, I immediately got scared.
The dead may be buried, but that doesn't always mean they are gone.
A ghost or a spirit that finds themselves trapped, straddling realms between what we call the living and the afterlife. Those that intend to stay there are fine and they're where they want to be. But sometimes there are ones that are trapped, they feel trapped. Ghosts can get dangerous.
Michelle Lopez and her family, husband Jason, children Shinar and Christopher, head up north to a rented cabin for a relaxing weekend.
The reason we took this trip to the cabin was in the summer, just to get away from the city, get some fresh air, quiet time, spend time with the kids. We actually picked the cabin because of its remote location. I thought this is perfect, there's like nobody around. It's very remote, just surrounded by woods.
But the woods can hold terrifying secrets, as the Lopez family knows all too well. Michelle and Jason have always had a deep interest in the paranormal. Both contend ghosts walk among us.
I believe that the spirits are here because some of them can't for some reason pass over. Something's keeping them here. They don't understand. They're lost here. They don't know how to get over. Sometimes they just need help.
Shortly after arriving at the cottage, they decide to head off on a paranormal adventure.
It was a bonus to find out that there was a cemetery not too far away, so we decided to go and check it out. Maybe we shouldn't have, but we did.
Go over there, I'm gonna take a picture. Smile.
Not everyone is up for the quest. Like her mother, Shinar is tuned into the ghost world, but it scares her.
Whenever there's a presence or of a spirit or something paranormal around, I can feel it. It's like when I'm quiet and doing my own thing, I can feel it.
My daughter, she is terrified of anything to do with the paranormal.
Are you coming with us?
No, I'm gonna stay back here.
Are you sure? You never know what's out there. Old cemetery, old spirits.
Exactly. No way.
Okay, see you later.
The family makes their way into the woods and quickly realizes they are anything but deserted.
It was quiet, and I could hear footsteps. We thought, okay, maybe it's just like teenagers in the bushes, like messing around or whatever, right? So we were like, okay, whatever. So we just continued to walk. We're walking and we could hear it again. So we stopped. I told my husband, I'm like, you need to go check out the bush over there.
I think someone's following us. Can you go check?
Hello? Is anybody there? Hello? Hello? Is anybody there?
He's like, hello, hello. And he peeks around the bush and there's like absolutely nobody there.
There's nothing.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, well, that's weird. It wasn't even windy.
The trio carries on and finally arrives at their destination.
The cemetery wasn't a wooded area. It was quiet. There was no one else around. It was kind of spooky to be there. It was really old headstones. Some of them were from 1700s, a lot of them from the 1800s.
But this is no ordinary cemetery. They learn this burial spot is steeped in tragedy.
They have a plaque there that says, it's a mass grave for all the cholera victims that died in the early 1900s. There was quite a few children's headstones. It was just sad, seeing all the children's headstones there and realizing how they suffered and died there.
Those poor children.
Once again, Michelle, Jason, and Christopher get the sense they are not alone.
So I could hear the rustling in the bushes and footsteps of what sounded like somebody behind us. We stopped and everybody was kind of nervous,
Okay.
My son was like hiding behind me, and we didn't want to have something happen to us or anything, right?
Sometimes a ghost will manifest involuntarily because something about what they're watching has triggered them. Those kinds of spirits usually come from a horrible accident, an unexpected death, a tragic death. They weren't ready to go before their time, so they have ended up in this realm.
Are you okay?
Yeah.
Someone's here.
No, there's something here. I can feel it.
Sometimes I can feel certain things. I can't see them, but I can feel them. There was so much energy there.
Jason.
So the longer that we stayed in the graveyard, the energy was just so much that you could just feel it growing there.
Let's get going.
Everyone, my son and my husband were just getting to the point where they were starting to really get terrified. So we left. We would hear something that sounded like footsteps behind us. We would all stop, turn around. There'd be nothing there. My husband was getting goosebumps. My son was terrified.
Yeah, we're definitely not alone.
My son was kind of freaked out. He was like, okay, I want to go back to the car and get the heck out of here.
What are you doing?
Don't turn around.
Michelle is afraid to look behind her, but still attempts to find out what's there.
We kept walking. I said, there's something behind us. I told my husband and I told my son, I'm like, don't turn around. I'm going to take my camera. I'm going to put it on my shoulder and I'm just going to snap a photo.
I want to get out of here.
Now that she has the photo, Michelle wants to leave as fast as possible.
And I actually said to my husband, okay, I think, okay, this is enough, because I thought I was literally going to just throw up everywhere. I started to feel nauseous and like I was going to pass out.
It is possible to suffer a physical reaction to a spirit, especially if the person has a certain sensitivity, is emphatic or high sense of empathy. People like that who are particularly sensitive to that kind of thing tend to pick up on the sorrowful, angry vibes that the spirit might be producing.
And their night of terror is only just beginning.
Follow us back, or did it stay there?
Mom, look!
I didn't want it to be something malevolent that could hurt any of us.
Who's there? Who's there?
A spirit trapped between two realms can be very dangerous when it decides to haunt the living.
The phenomenon of haunting can affect people on many levels, not only mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, but also physically
While on vacation in the country, Michelle and her family investigate a cemetery they think is deserted. It's not.
There's something here. I can feel it.
And now, Michelle is feeling the effects of the encounter.
We decided finally just to get the heck out of that place, out of the cemetery. And the whole entire time I felt like I was just gonna throw up.
I want to get out of here.
When we finally got back to the cabin, my husband was relieved that we were back.
When Shinar sees her mother, she knows something has happened.
I did not feel good. I was extremely nauseated.
Mom, what's wrong?
You need to rest.
What? Come on.
I went up to her, and she's like, I don't know. I'm just gonna go lay down. I'm not feeling good.
And Shinar gets a powerful feeling that they have company.
I need to lay down.
The reason a ghost would follow somebody home is to simply convey a message. You've been on my territory, I know where you live, and I'm invading yours. Don't come back here. This is what I can do.
I was kind of creeped out. I was just wondering if, what was following us. Did it follow us back or did it stay there? I didn't want it to be something malevolent that could hurt any of us.
Michelle's concerns about whether something has followed her home are soon realized.
But then everything started up that night. I'm sitting there on the computer. My daughter was in her room and my son was in bed. My daughter opened up her door. She froze.
Mom, look!
And she screamed, she points down and she's like, look. And this yellow toy construction hat starts spinning like really fast in circles.
I seen the hat spinning, like I was just like stuck, like I couldn't move at all. And it went flying down the hall.
What's going on?
When I grab the hat, I'm, checking the hat over. There's nothing on the hat. It's just a hat. It doesn't take batteries. It doesn't make sound. It doesn't make movement. Nothing.
There's nothing to worry about.
I hate it here!
She was so scared. She was just so terrified, and I couldn't even calm her down.
The night continues to get stranger. Whatever accompanied them from the cemetery turns its attention to Christopher.
Everything's okay, Christopher. Go back to bed.
Someone's knocking.
What?
Someone's knocking.
I'm like, Christopher, go back to bed. It's like 11 o'clock. No, Mom, somebody's knocking. I'm like, what are you talking about?
There's nothing there. Just go back to bed.
Can't you hear them? They're there.
But they don't register with Jason.
Kids are tuned very differently. They have the ability to see spirits. They have the ability to feel things that aren't there. They have the ability to hear things.
I'm like, okay. So I stood there. I'm like, okay, I'm going to wait here and I'm going to see if I can hear anything. So I stood there. I didn't hear a damn thing. Like, I don't hear anything. You can't hear it? He says to me. I'm like, I can't hear anything. He's like, they're knocking.
Christopher insists he can hear someone reaching out to him.
They want me.
My husband, he did go out the side door. to see if there was something outside. I stayed in the house. I wasn't going outside because it is very dark. You can't even see your hand in front of your face when you're outside.
Who's there? Who's there?
There was nothing there. It was quiet out. You know, you couldn't even hear a bird or nothing. It was just nighttime. It was pitch black.
Who's there?
Jason!
Jason can't see anything,
Who's there?
but the darkness is filled with the laughter of children.
Who's there? Who's there?
The ghost of a child could be dangerous when the ghost child were interacting with a living child. They might find something about the living child that upsets them, and they might push back.
The night is not over yet.
Mommy, Mommy!
The Lopez family went to an abandoned graveyard to look around. But now, something has followed them home and is reaching out to their son, Christopher.
Ghost children tend to be attracted to the children of the living because they can relate. They're more or less the same age, and because the ghost children are where they are, chances are they're confused about where they are. They passed away prematurely. They're probably wondering why no one can see them, but this living child can.
Mommy, Mommy! Mommy. Mommy. There's two boys playing outside.
What do you mean? Come back to bed.
There's two boys playing outside.
There's two boys. Seriously, you need to go to sleep. But I could see them. He's like, they have blonde hair. There's two of them. They have blonde hair. And I can see their shirts. They're wearing white shirts, but I can see through their shirts. It's like they're playing with my toys. It started to clue in that we probably had brought something back. Maybe it was trying to wake him up because he wanted to play. You know, maybe it was a child that wanted attention. He was lonely. You know, maybe something attached to him or whatever. There's something going on. And I wanted to find out what it was. I was just hoping that, you know, it was nothing that was going to harm any of us. And I decide, okay, I'm gonna get out my camera. I'm gonna check out all the photos that I took.
Desperate to protect her child, Michelle decides to get to the bottom of this encounter with the paranormal.
And I start going through the photos. One of the photos that I had taken by the cholera mass grave, you can clearly make out what looks like a child, blonde hair, squatted down on their knees, looking down like that, right behind the plaque. You can see a little blonde hair boy, and it looks like he's running. You can see his arms up like that. Like that. And I was like, oh my God.
The ghosts of the cholera victims have left the mass grave and stalked her son to his room. But what do they want?
They have a story to get across. There should be no surprise. The ghosts of children would accompany a family that included children amongst their brood. The spirits come from a horrible, unexpected and tragic death. They weren't ready to go. They have ended up in this realm. They have kind of a foot in both realms, and they're not quite sure where they want to be or how to get out of it.
Stay here.
I was nervous for my son, yes. So for all of this to be happening towards him, I was scared for him because I didn't want him to get harmed in any way, obviously, because he's my child.
Michelle knows there's only one way to deal with a ghost.
You have to leave!
Confront it.
Sorry we bothered you!
And I said, whoever's here, if you followed us home, we apologize for bothering you in any way if we did. My son is frightened of you. You're not welcome in this house. We did not invite you here. You need to leave.
You're not welcome here! You can't have him! Do you hear me? You have to go! You have to leave now!
It's always interesting to me to see ghosts or earthbound spirits that are children. I've seen cases where children don't know that they're actually dead, where they won't cross over until someone says it's okay.
Go! Go now! Find peace somewhere else. Go now.
And just like that, the experience is over. But it has lasting effects.
Christopher was shaken up. That definitely shaken up. He was the only one that could see them, and nobody else could see them. To this day, he always says that he wants to go back, but then when it comes down to the time and the day to go, he wants absolutely nothing to do with actually being there.
The Lopez family left their ghosts behind. But Rocky Elmore is about to return to a haunted mountain where another spirit is trapped between this world and the next.
I've had people question me to what I saw that night, suggesting how I hallucinated or I imagined things. I did not imagine that. I was fully awake, and I know what I saw. And he was walking right toward me.
Not all spirits pass over to the other side. Some are trapped here on Earth.
Ghosts feed off of that fear energy. They feed off of depression. They feed off of chaos. They like that kind of energy. All ghosts are not bad. There are plenty of spirits that are good-natured. But there can be what you might call evil spirits. I call them negative spirits.
A ghost or a spirit that finds themselves trapped, straddling realms, do feel a sense of torment being in that state.
And this mountainside is full of apparitions, both good-natured and otherwise.
Well, it's been claimed by the locals that mountain is haunted.
Border agent Rocky Elmore has had his share of ghostly encounters, such as when his partner, Luis Santiago, was murdered.
In some cases, a ghost returns to where they died.
Santiago tried to contact Rocky from beyond the grave.
I asked myself many times, why would he be trying to contact me over the radio like that? Was it to say goodbye? Was it to tell me what happened?
Now, Rocky has a new partner and another tale to tell.
This story takes place on top of Otay Mountain, probably about 1/3 of a mile from a place called Doghouse Junction.
This mountainside has seen its share of death for over a century.
The area has had several aircraft crashes, medical helicopter, World War II airplanes.
There's just so many things that happen up on that mountain. We find skeletal remains up there almost on a monthly basis. We've found dead bodies. There's a lot of death and misery on that mountain.
Tonight, Rocky and his partner Pat are on the hunt for a smuggler.
Pat and I had been sent up to the mountain. We were the only two anywhere near the peak of the mountain in Doghouse Junction.
There's times I've heard what could have been screams up on the mountain, and you can't tell if it's an animal or if it's a person. One of the remarkable things about being on that mountain is if you hear something, it may be coming from behind. You can't determine where it is because the deep canyons, the sounds tend to echo and bounce around and disorient you. So if you hear a scream, you might be walking away from that scream, or you may be walking towards it.
It's nothing.
We hiked back up to our vehicles. Got back up there, and it's probably around 3 or 4 in the morning at that time. Pat said he wanted to know if it'd be okay if he took about a 15-minute nap and I would watch for him. So he dozed off for about 15 minutes, and I watched everything.
I'm gonna grab some Z's. It's as good as time as any.
Rocky agrees. His partner dozes off. And that's when Rocky discovers that they are not the only ones on the mountain.
In the distance, I seen this figure coming up out of Copper Canyon, and he was walking right for us. And I quickly looked over at my partner, and he was still sawing logs. This figure actually seemed to be a Border Patrol agent. He looked like one of us at a distance. I thought I detected a gun belt and things on it like that. I thought it was a little bit strange because no one else was assigned up there.
Patrol, is anyone else out here with us?
I did wonder how could an agent be down in Copper Canyon and coming up.
If it's not another agent, Rocky has to find out who it is.
Lots of times you go into what we would call a dead zone where our radio communications wouldn't work. So we'd be literally on our own.
What exactly is Rocky chasing?
We couldn't call out for help if something went down, if something went bad.
The biggest danger with the fog for a Border Patrol agent is that as he's walking around, he'll get lost because he can't find his trails as easy. He can't find the landmarks as easy. We're reaching into darkness and grabbing people. Starting to think that, well, I probably should have woke my partner up. Obviously, this is a little bit more than what I thought it was.
The question is, who or what is Rocky chasing?
I got close enough to see his actual face. I thought he was about to speak to me.
Border Patrol agent Rocky Elmore has seen someone in the thick mountain fog. Is it a man or something else?
The idea of spirits scares people. So right off the bat, we're emitting fear. We're emitting that energy. And unfortunately, that's kind of the worst thing we can do if there is spirit activity, because that's what they feed off of.
Rocky is lured up the trail, away from his partner. Finally, he gets a good look at his target.
And as he got a little bit closer, it actually started to take the form of like a military, maybe in a jumpsuit, some kind of utility belt or something.
Rocky is face to face with a man in uniform who seems eerily out of place on the mountain.
I thought, well, I guess it would be possible that there could have been a plane crash, but nobody knew about it, and he survived it. It appeared to be a jumpsuit, kind of like what I've seen in some of the older war movies. He looked just like we would have.
But something's not right.
As he came toward me, he was walking totally silent. I did not hear footsteps. Considering the terrain, I should have heard the footsteps. The figure got closer and closer. And when he got probably about 10 feet out, when he got close enough to see his actual face, there was nothing unusual about it to give me any kind of clue of what was about to happen.
Ghosts tend to want to play with these strangers who've entered their world, entered their home, and have a bit of fun.
When he started to smile, I also started to speak to him. I thought he was about to speak to me. But within just a split second of the smile starting, it went much wider, kind of this ghoulish type grin at me. It was kind of like the Joker on Batman. That smile went way wide. Very, very shortly after that, his face began to glow. I don't know if my brain was able to catch up quickly enough with what was happening. And then he accelerated and vanished.
The apparition is gone.
The grin he gave me was like he was pulling a practical joke on me. Gotcha, you thought I was a real person and I'm only a spirit.
A ghost has its egos, a ghost has its attitudes, its addictions, its sense of humor. It still maintains everything that it had when it was a human being.
I don't know what I thought at the time or what I was feeling. I did what we always do. We get out the flashlight and start looking for footprints on the ground. And I looked all around, but there were no footprints for them. Then when I realized what had really happened and the significance of it, fear started to sweep over me. Come to the conclusion it was a spirit.
Rocky's partner slept through the whole ghostly encounter.
To this day, I've never told him what happened. You just don't talk about paranormal stuff in law enforcement.
He doesn't know what the Phantom Soldier wanted from him, who he was, or how long he has been trapped on that mountain. But it's possible he died decades ago, when a plane crashed during World War II.
In the case of a spirit who finds themselves trapped, my feeling is that they would work on a plan to communicate with somebody among the living, bring attention to themselves. I'm here. Please listen to me.
Rocky didn't choose to seek out the spirit trapped between two realms. It came to him. But Daniel Cumerlato has been fascinated by earthbound souls ever since he was a child, and has always wanted to reach out to them.
As a kid, I always loved ghost stories. You gotta believe that there's something. The idea of energy exists. So if you believe in energy, you should be able to believe in ghosts.
His interest in the paranormal follows him into adulthood.
One night we were a little bit bored, me and my wife at the time. So we decided to use a Ouija board. All the best stories start with a Ouija board.
So a Ouija board, or a spirit board, has been around the world since, I believe, ancient China. The Ouija board has been given a very bad rap over the years because most experiences of people using it turn out to be negative ones.
I had set up this little micro cassette recorder in the corner of the table, and we were doing the session, and I asked one question.
Spirit, are you there?
And it slowly went up to yes. Now afterwards, we listened to the microphone, and after I asked that question, you could hear in the microphone another voice. Wasn't mine, wasn't my wife's. It was another guy right up against the microphone saying, yes.
That one eerie incident sparks a lifetime of obsession and sends Daniel on a terrifying journey.
It's the one and only time that I saw something I couldn't explain.
Ghosts haunt the land, unable or unwilling to leave. Sometimes it's impossible to know what they want, and other times it's terrifyingly clear.
There's all sorts of different types of attachment for spirit. I've seen spirits that are connected to land because they're just very attached to it.
I don't believe that ghosts stay in our realm for no reason. I'm safe here, so I'm not going to risk going to purgatory or hell if I'm safe here. But they choose to remain straddling the realm of what we call the living and the afterlife.
Not only is Daniel Cumerlato fascinated by the spirit world, he gives tours into it, inviting people to join him as he explores haunted buildings around his home in Ontario, Canada. And the ruins of this old mansion, known as the Hermitage, is one of the most popular.
What remains was built in the 1850s by the Leith family, and out of all the locations I've gone to, it seems to have the most dark or negative energy that surrounds it.
The mansion was destroyed by fire, and the only living descendant was forced out into the streets.
So she couldn't afford to fix up her family's home, but she also didn't want to leave it. So she actually lived in a tent outside of the ruins, just her and her little crippled dog, until the day she died.
Another woman also met a tragic end here, when her lover hung himself in the mansion's carriage house. She died of heartache shortly after.
She was obviously, crushed and broken, and that energy still remains, especially at night.
The spirits of both these women haunt the grounds, united in anguish.
The history of the Hermitage area is varied. We're often asked how dangerous ghosts can get and what kind of harm they can inflict when upset. A lot of this depends on the degree of emotion that they feel.
The lure of haunted ruins proves impossible for many to resist, which is why thrill seekers flock to Daniel's tours.
The only way to describe it is negative. That dread or foreboding kind of surrounds the area.
Well, I hope we don't have too many nightmares, nothing too scary.
So on that evening in the year 2006, I had a group.
Thanks very much. Hope you guys enjoyed the tour. Time to go home.
I tell you, most of it was pretty calm. It was kind of like luring me into a false sense of security.
Come on, you guys. Time to go. Come on.
I didn't feel anything was off that night until the experience actually happened.
Come on.
I noticed two people. Now, I didn't think anything of it. I just assumed they were part of the group. And I called out to them. I said, "It's time to go. Please follow me." And they ignored me. And when I called out the second time, it was kind of like they turned a bit and they walked right into the woods. It gets darker and darker as you're heading into the woods. And the area they walked into, I was afraid they could hurt themselves. They might trip and fall. So I started running. And 2 seconds behind them, I shine a flashlight into those dark woods, and there's no one there. There's no way that I wouldn't have heard them run away or seen them try and run away if they were playing some kind of weird joke on me. It was almost like they just vanished into thin air. I was looking for any broken branches in the area where they disappeared, any footprints in the dirt, anything at all. I'm thinking I'm starting to go a little bit crazy at this point. It obviously changed from being a little bit peeved to being a little bit frightened. I ran into the overgrown part of the woods. There's like a rocky path. I'm not even sure I was fully sure what I was looking for. I felt a little bit confused all the time as my brain kind of processes through the different levels. Could they have, silently snuck away in the time that I came over? Could they have run off silently? And as I'm checking off all the boxes, it's just impossible, impossible, impossible.
Hey, come on, you guys. Come on.
So I ran after them, and when I caught up, when I saw it, I immediately got scared.
Hey, let's go, come on.
I kind of remember the shapes wearing dresses, so it kind of billowed out a little bit at the bottom. They were the same height, the same shape. Really only way to describe it is as if they were mirrored images of each other.
Daniel wonders, are these the spirits of the two women who died on this land?
I called out to them, they had turned, they had walked into those dark woods. I'm not sure if the energies were trying to draw me into the woods.
He battles an overwhelming urge to follow the apparitions.
They disappeared into that darkness. It's almost like they were merging with it. Then it dawns on me, well, I just had a ghostly experience. That's when I took off.
I assume that spirits who seem to want to lure a person, such as Daniel, into the forest probably don't have very good intentions, and I'm happy for him that he didn't decide to follow them.
Funny thing is, I didn't tell anybody about that experience the night of, because I wanted to go over it in my head.
Daniel doesn't know why the spirits enticed him to follow, or what horrors they might have visited on him if he had. And he can't help but wonder if they will come back for him, and what their intentions might be.
Every single tour that I lead there, it crosses the back of my mind, especially when a night comes close or on the night of a full moon, but it hasn't happened.
Spirits who are trapped between two realms can be dangerous, as the Lopez family found out. They are still haunted by the memory of the ghostly children that came for their son.
If people don't believe me and tell me I'm crazy, I just tell them that wait until something like this happens to you, and then you'll realize that you're not crazy.
Rocky is likewise still shaken by his experience, but won't let it get the better of him.
We just deal so much with blocking our emotions to keep fear from getting in, because it's scary out there. And if you let fear get in even a little bit, you won't get out of your truck. So you spend a lot of time trying to block your emotions and keep fear